There's a few beers on the table there for you.
Yeah.
I got some lighter ones for you because I know you like the lighter beers, Rob.
You know,
Well, that's what Andrew always tells us.
well,
This guy over here.
You know, when it's game on, like any time of the day, yeah, I definitely, you know, I long for the days where, you know, I can just have that classic, you know, barrel aged, sitting by the fire in a big snifter, like, and that's my one beer, and I'm like, that's not how my
You got a
life
giant robe.
That's not how my life is right now. It's like meetings and, hey, have this beer, try this beer, and then, you know, I was just at the reason I was pushing the limit. I was like at a quasi political function where like just meet and greet and like, you know, and just get my 2 words in about what's going on with the breweries, and then, you know, dip. But I'm the nerd in that. I'm the awkward nerd in that group. You know, like they come to my place, I'm like, you know,
Yeah.
different. But that's
Welcome to their world.
Yeah. Right.
Shaking babies and kissing hands. That's how it works.
yeah. Oh, you have glassware too.
Oh,
Yep.
And sometimes I just drink it out of the can. You know?
Well, that's what I'm doing right now.
It's options. It's not mandatory.
Yeah. Listen, we're not that classy here. I mean, we do have a tin tacker on the wall. That's pretty
No, I
classy.
saw you have all these.
Yeah. You didn't realize we're at a Arizona Craft Brewers Guild official location. did you?
Purchaser.
Well, I've got a more official sign.
No.
If you get to that level, I got a couple
No,
more.
dang. All right. There you go.
Super official. I can get you. We're in attackers, man. Like, I don't know, like probably more than most guilds.
I got a couple of 8-bits of the mages and stuff. And
Oh, yeah.
I really like they threw their cans with all the Zelda and I'm like, I got those tin tackers. They're pretty cool.
Well,
Right on.
to make it official, Chris, start the show.
Ed, welcome to the show.
I've never been in this studio before. This is actually cool.
You actually do a real.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Hobby Craftsman Podcast. I am Chris here in the studio with Ed.
Yes, and we have a very special guest. We're big time in it right now. Would you say?
We are big time in it. Yes.
We have the executive director. Is
That's
that the
correct,
official
yeah.
title? Sometimes it changes.
No. It's always been the
executive-
It's always been the executive director. Sometimes people call me the president. I'm like, no. Like, sometimes I let it go.
I think I might have called you the president.
Yeah.
Chris might have. We have the executive director of the Arizona Craft Brewers Guild, Rob Fullmer, in studio.
Hey, good to be here.
Thanks for showing up.
Well, you know, Andrew's on vacation. So.
Yeah, we've talked to Andrew the last couple of times.
Well, listen, we want to always make his wife more angry with us than she probably already is.
Yeah, I think his wife's
You-
happier that he didn't come this time.
We always keep
than
him a long
anybody.
time.
So I had a couple good days when I wasn't the person being the ire of Bonnie Bauman.
Yep.
Yeah, that seems right.
But it's that time of year again. We're coming up to Arizona Beer Week and the big event, Arizona Strong Beer Fest. And that's what Rob has mostly come to talk to us about today.
Great. Yeah. It is our biggest fundraiser. It's been over 25 years. Yeah.
That's hard to believe.
Of this festival. And yeah. I mean, if you want to count the pandemic, which we did something in the parking lot of Old Ellsworth.
Then yes.
That whole year was take our festival and put saving in front of it, because like it literally saved the organization and kept the things going. But yeah, it's our biggest fundraiser. Keep our brewery dues low, and their engagement is participating in this festival. You know, and it's one of a handful that fund the organization. So like, you know, let's put the fun in fund. You know, you buy your ticket. If you're completely crazy and you want to do I could buy so much alcohol per ounce per dollar per,
Yeah.
go ahead and do that. But it's a fundraiser in the same way you pay a lot of money for a golfing tournament. You pay a lot of money for a banquet. You pay the money for the ridiculous and unprecedented number of breweries and beer offerings, and all the people who love that, who you probably don't run into a lot until you see them there.
Right. Well, I mean, that's the thing is there's always a lot of people from the breweries that you will see there, and that's what I like about the Strong Beer Fest is that the people from all the breweries are there. Like the people I see at the breweries, I see there. There's the brewers there. There's bartender. There's server. There are people. The front of GMs. It's all the people, owners. It's awesome to see those people and be able to like ask them questions, talk to those people that you've never got the chance to talk to when you actually go to the places. So.
Oh, I'm actually talking about the festival goers who say, I haven't been here for like 2 years. I'm like, I know. Like, thank you for coming. No, I mean, it's the mix of people. Like,
right.
It's you know, you asked if I was going to talk about, you know, how things are trending in their industry. They're, you know, we need to get back to hospitality. We need to get back to getting to know each other. The pandemic sort of pushed everybody into packaging, and that was an explosion of offerings. And you go into a place that has lots of local and national, regional offerings. It's, you know, if you're not up on things, it's paralysis of choice.
Right. I mean, that's why I tell people all the time about going to a beer festival. I'm like, listen, I know you see that sticker price sometimes and you're like, that's a little much. And I've had people like, well, let me break this down by ounces. And I'm like, yeah, but go to the store and try to buy that many different kinds of beers that you've never had before.
Yeah.
And then come back and tell me it's not worth it to go to a beer festival. You can try 20 different beers and try 20 ones you've never had before, and it'd cost you way more to go do that in the store. So
yeah, and we're fortunate to have a good location that wants to work with us. But like, if you work in the location costs and the infrastructure and all that stuff, you know, and if you know, I it's sad. I don't even know the actual ticket price. Like, it hasn't really changed a lot. But like, let's just say it's $50. Like, you know, like,
Well, that's what I'm here for. General admission is $70.
$70. Okay.
VIP is $90 and DD is $20.
So, you know, I'm go back to my imaginary number, which is easy to work with. Let's just say it's $50. Like, you know, like other festivals, if they do the same level of complete and utter largesse of offerings, they might be spending $35 to just be there. And if nobody shows up, that's a lot of money to be out.
100%.
So, you know, and it's a fundraiser. So it funds our organization. Like, it is the reason why I have a job and why I was able to hire Kristen back in the day as a full-time employee, and now Andrew, the deputy director. So we can work full-time on things. And, you know, I don't like to look back too much, but we've had 10 years of really good policy. And there's a lot of changes that we made that it took a couple years for people to understand what the implications were. And, you know, some of those are on the table where, you know, I kind of shared what might be around the corner here. And that could be a huge, you know, option for our breweries. And, you know, the focus is to get people back into the breweries, because that's where their dollars, where their efforts are rewarded most by your dollars. Obviously, if they put things in cans, they want you to buy them there too. But, you know, there's so little money recovered from those things. And like, I just want people to go back to have fun and enjoy each other's company. And that's what a festival is to me. It's a shout out to our festivals, are shout out to, hey, let's go back to the exciting times, which I thought were going to go away. With COVID, like I thought, like, will we ever see a thing where, hey, try this beer, like literally stranger who looks reasonably not, insane, drink this out of my glass, and I you know, like that doesn't occur in any other food or beverage situation except for beer.
Buffets, I mean, they're gone, right? I mean, I don't think
no, but no one's like here, they give you your fork and say here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just one of those things you're like, yeah, it's a beer festival. I'm not big. It's not even. I don't even think about that. But yeah, I mean, I could see how that would be. At the time, I think we were the same, and we were like, who knows if it's ever gonna be the same? You don't know, right? And it's kind of come around to that. And I like Strong Beer Fest. I mean, it's one of the festivals that we go to, and I think consistently over. I mean, I went to the one where it was in Mesa, and it was great. It was a great time. It was a small venue, and then didn't get Steel Park, and then I was looking through all my little cups and stuff, and it's consistently gotten better and better and better throughout the whole time frame at this point. I think there's been some years that are better than others, and there's always something that maybe slips through, but that's just how it's logistics. It's hard. There's lots of things going on, right? So
I mean, all of them are memorable in some way. And and the further that you get from the time frame,
you can laugh about it.
I mean, because
we can laugh about it.
Well, before I was involved in the direct operation of it, But as a participant, we had that giant storm, and like,
Dude, that was crazy.
I can't tell you how many people said, "Oh, that's the best one ever." And like, it really wasn't. It really wasn't. Like, you can look back and, you know, like, it was great for. I was the president. Then I was the president.
Oh, okay.
Of the Arizona Craft. The Arizona Society of Homebrewers, Ash. And I saw the forecast, and I'm like, I went and got like 500 garbage bags, and we sold them for a couple bucks each.
That's a probably good.
And like, yeah, so like, it was fine, for us. But
I saw the forecast. I dressed appropriately. My friends dressed appropriately, except for one of them. He decided that he was wearing sandals and shorts that day because he was like, it's fine. And no, it was not. And that was very memorable. I remember we stand under like the tables and stuff, and you would sit there and wait for like a line to get, like there was nobody in the line, and you just ran to another booth and got a drink, then ran back to the.
There were women in heels.
Yeah, George and the Dragon right there, which is slammed with people. It was so busy. I don't think they were ready for the number of people that were going to be there that day.
No, there were women in heels, and that's one thing. Like, even in it, I mean, they were sinking into the ground. They couldn't even wear their heels because they would because the ground got so saturated. But that's the risk we run. And I don't know. It's kind of weird. Like, the weather is so like critical in people's perception of that festival.
Well, it's funny. It's Arizona. I mean, we don't normally think about the weather until it's here, right? And that's how it works. It's like one of those things where you're just like, it's Arizona. It should be sunny. It's fine. Not a big deal. I don't even look at the weather for like planning my kid's birthday. We're like, it's fine. It'll be March. It's not a big deal. But it can happen.
Yeah.
And it's rain or shine anyway. So
it's at Silver River Fields. If you buy a VIP ticket, you get the benefit of going to a college tournament game. I think we know the teams. I don't know that anyone cares. It's a good time. You get up on the Pepsi deck and watch baseball. Last year it was Arizona and Tennessee. So I don't think anyone extra came because of that. But like that was a pretty rowdy game because like Tennessee traveled, and like it was kind of a fun game to watch. But most people just wanted the different engagement in a different location. And I don't know. Like Andrew, I'm sure has brought it up. Like we love having beers in unusual places.
Oh yeah. Oh, 100%.
And that's like, yeah, I mean, it's not unusual to have a beer at a baseball game, but it's unusual to have that kind of choice.
We talked about it, I mean, on the show multiple times. And then we talked about when we met with you forever ago, like, what are those, like, what is something you could bring to a festival? And we talk about experiences, right? Like an experience at a festival is going to make you tell other people about it and be excited about it. And that going to get your wristband early.
Yep.
Go sample some drinks upstairs. Get to watch it, like you said, a collegiate baseball game going on, and just kind of mingle. It's great. It was a fun time. It was definitely a different atmosphere. I think last year somebody was like, "Is this the beer festival?" She thought it was Strong Beer Fest. And we're like, "Nope, that's tomorrow."
Yeah.
And it was just really, it's a cool experience, and I am super excited that you brought it, that you're gonna do it this year too, because it was awesome.
Well, let's clarify first. So Strong Beer Fest is Saturday, February 17th from 11:30 to 5 p.m. So it seems like there's an extra half an hour. Is that to get people in for VIP?
11:30. Yeah. So
kind of like a pre-check.
This was back when I took it over, and like we were having problems getting people in because of the lines, and I mean, you can't expect to have almost 3/4 of the people to show up 5 minutes before and get them all in, wristband in, and ID. So like we added the extra half an hour, and it's sort of been a thing. So we're keeping that. These things change over year over year. It used to be hard to get people out.
Yeah, right.
And now it seems like people are leaving early, which is a sensible thing to do, especially if you're the VIP. You should be done earlier, and you should enjoy the fact that some people are going to be hanging out later, and you can get a jump on, having some dinner nearby or whatever, or just getting out. But that park also is good at getting people in and out, and we're working with Salt River Fields, spring training, baseball, and
they know how to deal with crowds.
Lots of events,
right?
And so, we're tweaking some things. One of the things that people have asked about that we took off the menu was the Super VIP, which had the next day breakfast, and we brought brewers in to sample beers and also to talk about their beers. We had a little program, last year the podcasters from Phoenix Magazine hosted it.
Oh, yeah.
And I love that format, and But just understanding the restaurant finances right now, it was like that was going to be a huge cost. It was a huge cost last year. We kind of sucked it up, but we have partners now in Salt River Fields, and we're like, so we're in this year where we're reevaluating things. Like I'd like to bring the programmatic of it, but I also understand like people don't want to sit still for that kind of thing.
Right.
So we'll see. But you mentioned everyone. Some people thought that was the festival that day.
Yeah.
Like if you don't like the festival at Strong Beer, like walk 30 feet and you will have a different festival with a different set of activation based on what a brewery's doing or what a distributor is presenting. Like you could say that there's 5 or 6 festivals in that festival.
Oh yeah. Some of the areas, I mean, the distributors put on it. You could just tell it's this little it was like a crowd last year. Was the kind of the
well, like the shop had their little dance studio,
shop had their DJ thing going on.
Yeah, they had EMD going on. They had like 6 DJs, I guess, rotating. I just heard. I just heard this today. I'm like, really? That's like. I mean, I wasn't going to stick for 6, right?
Yeah. I loved the Express VIP that with the wristbands you got the night before.
Yep,
that was amazing. Like it was like that's 100% worth it. Like this is why would you not? If you can make it to that night before and get your wristband, even if you don't stay for everything else, go get your wristband, and then the next day when you go to the festival, you just walk right in. Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah, and we tried that years ago with several different places to do that. It was confusing because like people ask like, wait, am I supposed to go here or here or so like we just made it the baseball game, makes it easy.
Yeah.
So we're always looking to do those kinds of things because like you bought the ticket and if we can credential you, we're going to take care of that, and just to get you in, like especially if you bought that ticket because like the parking is so much easier. The parking is more easy than any other festival location we've ever had. So like it should be a breeze. Human element. It could
you never know.
I mean, they're making a change to make it even easier, but we don't know. Like it's really hard to predict. I mean, you're talking about thousands of people. What human behavior is, So,
behavior in groups.
It might be clear to us, but until you get a couple hundred people doing, like you've heard about like marathons, like where somebody makes the wrong turn and everyone follows. So we're. Those are things that we think about that, it's part of, creating that atmosphere. So, the wrestling is coming back.
Good. Everybody loved that. That was a big thing.
But, brewery count is at the same or more than last year. So I think we're at 158 breweries. I can confidently say that most of them are going to have 2 or 3. So that's a lot of beer.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Choices. And some people have asked if there's a beer list, and it's tough. One of the toughest things for our breweries to adjust to is understanding what it was already like before. It was like they were holding out. Some of them were holding out just to be like, no, this is gonna be a big surprise. Yeah. And some of them were like, like I don't know if this is ready, and like they made the day before, so it was really tough. Like we did have a couple years where we had it on Untapped, and it was like solid. But I'm going to tell you, man, for having all those beers on Untapped and to get like for a festival of, at that time it was like 8,000 people, to get like 500 check-ins was really desponding.
Yeah, right.
It desponded. Like I was like, oh man, everyone's going to check these beers, and nobody checked them in, and like.
I forget. I try to take pictures now of the beers I tried just because that was the ones I haven't heard of, just because that way I can remember the next day or for the show.
Yeah.
But you just forget. You're caught up in the moment. You're having a good time. You're walking around. You lose your buddies because you like turn one way and they go the other way and you're like, where the hell did they go?
Yeah, but you talk about like being craft beer nerds and like how you stand out in different groups. The Untapped people at beer festivals are a whole different level of tracking and participation and following. I mean, but that, like you said, that's a very small group who's going to do that at the festival.
Right. We had a thing where we had a special release thing, and like, I like the idea of it, but like if it limits, like, so if you're a brewery, it sounds cool. And like, we've all learned this together. It sounds cool. Like, hey, we're going to release this at 2:30. And like, but if you don't go through all the beer and you don't get it in front of people who want to try it, then it's kind of like the point is lost, right?
Right.
So like it just got to be too hard to schedule, and like people wanted to know what time are they scheduled. I mean, that was like days of figuring that out.
Right.
Like it's just, here's the thing, it's just better to be a twig in the stream and just you know what, talk to people like, hey, what did you have? Like that's way better than like I get it. Like we have some people, and I whenever I say don't be this kind of craft beer person or whatever, or I imply that I was that person. It might have been for it might have been for a year, it might have been for 2 days, or it might, but like I get it. Like, you know, some people spreadsheet and like map and figure it all out. Like good for them, I guess. But you know, just let it go and enjoy. But you know, if I'm trying to encourage my breweries to participate and have a good time, I don't want to clamp down on them for not. I don't want to be like calling them every day for a beer list.
Right.
So,
well, and I remember too the signing up for the like untapped notifications, and then it just becomes white noise because you're getting all these notifications. You're like, I can't pay attention to all of this, so I'm just gonna.
Well, we had a texting program one year, and we over texted, and they like shut us down, like because we had all the tapping schedules.
Yeah,
and like they're like, no, you can't do this. You're spamming. And people were like, people asked for this. Like,
right.
It's like we had like a huge argument about this with our texting company, and like, well, it's Verizon or it's whoever. Like, so you can't do that. I thought it was cool because it was retro. Because like, you know, at the time everyone was instant notifications. Like no one's texting anymore.
Right.
You know. So, but we'll see.
Do we talk about in the past having a badge for Strong Beer Fest? Was there a badge for Strong Beer Fest in the past? I can't remember if there was Untapped. I mean, that's one thing that I would check in just that when I got to the festival and then be done. Like, I'd be cool with that. But like, listen, I know that's a hard process to go through, and it's kind of pricey too, I'm sure, because it's Untapped. But
the next thing you'll be asking for Pokestops.
That's what you would ask for.
We've engaged Untapped on a couple things over the years, and I guess we parted ways on this because I'm happy to do those kinds of things, but the fact that I said, hey, you guys use this data, and you're supposed to give this back to the breweries, but if no one is encouraged to check in, and I just gave you the example, of how low the check-ins are, like it's not very useful. So we pay to advertise, and then like we go through the pains of getting everyone to put their beers on, or at least tell us what's going to be there. And if no one checks in, like we just spent, you know, like some money on it. I guess this is something I don't usually talk about with the public, but because I root for companies like this because it is a service. But if you're going to charge us and you're going to charge our breweries, and we're not getting anyone to encourage check-ins, I don't know. Like if you're a data company and you're just charging people to get the data, but you're not encouraging people to give you the data, then it's kind of a lost cause for me. So like, you know, even back in the day, like, so there's a difference between, you know, startup companies and all the VC money, and because Uber had a street team. They would send people, they would send signs, and they would encourage people. Lyft, same thing. Like those days are over. I get it. Like, but even in those heydays, like they didn't have any like marketing packages for us. They didn't send us a tent.
Yeah, I mean, what's the ROI on that? I mean, that doesn't make any sense. If you're not getting anything back from it, it's not helpful to the brewery. Why do it? So the
thing that killed it is like they were just like release this festival model, and they talked to us because we had a big festival, and we talked to a couple people.
You have a few of them,
and we helped them, we advised them, and they still wanted to charge us. And I'm like, all right, whatever, maybe this will work out. But then they took all that data and they decided to do festivals across the country. And I don't know, like you can look into all the festivals.
We've talked about their festivals plenty of times.
So like, so now you're competing with us, and you're taking our data, and like, by the way, it's not really good data because I already can tell you that no one's checking in. So I don't know what you're using to encourage. So I don't know. But you know, the company was resold, and now it's Next Class, and I don't know. I've talked to their CEO. And we had a meeting, and actually I didn't have a meeting. Andrew did. And obviously we didn't get any, but now I'm just getting sales calls all the time.
Oh, well,
so, no, but I mean, you know, by all accounts, he lives in Austin. I actually, when I was in Austin recently, I said, I gave him the, hey, how's it going kind of thing. Cause we had talked in Denver, but you know, I don't know, like, is it worth me going to have another 20-minute meeting with the guy and just say, hey, there's a disconnect, maybe somewhere down the road, but not that important to me. So I'm sorry if you're an avid user of that product, but this is where the disconnect is.
No,
and this is where we're at.
We've talked about it multiple times. Like at this point, I use Untappd to keep track of my beers. I don't rank them in there anymore. I don't use it to look up. I don't go in there and be like, is this a good beer or not? What's the rating? Because it doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make no sense. Like your 5 isn't my 5. We've done this a bunch. It doesn't make sense to me. It's at this point, it's a spreadsheet. It's all it is to me. Well, like it's all it is. It doesn't do anything more than that.
In all the well, in any business, but all the beer adjacent businesses, if there's not credible competition, because it used to be Rate Beer a little bit for some things, but that got bought by ABI, and then it went to some other holding company, and then it got dished off. Like I don't know who owns it anymore, but but if there's not good competition, the products suffer.
Right.
And
I'll tell you the only time I'm really active about checking stuff in is if I'm at a brewery or like Trevor, wherever, someplace, and they have a screen and it shares your name at the bottom, and I can check my beer in. My name shows up.
Just like to see his name.
I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna check in like 5 beers because I said when it comes up.
So
I love that.
That's great because that was one of the things we talked about. Like, hey, can we get some real time feedback on this?
Yeah.
And like, but ultimately, like the idea of it was sound. Like, hey, we have all these beers. I want to tell my breweries what the most checked in beer is. What and they can get these stats back. So I'm like, hey, if you go through the pains of telling me all this stuff and getting it right, getting your names right, and if it's special release, going through all the problems of putting that in and all that stuff, I'm going to give you the data. And like when I got the data, I'm like, hey, you win. You had 17 check-ins, which is ridiculous.
Not a good number. Yeah.
And it would have been helpful if they had like, hey, here's the intent, like QR codes, all that stuff.
Well, it'd be cool if like you're at a festival and like there's a giant screen and you check in a beer and your name pops up and you're like, oh, it's me.
Again, that was one of the things we talk about.
But that would be really cool. Like that would get people to check in more.
Because that would be a way for us to reward somebody, not necessarily by the most check-ins, but right. But like,
we could do it by brewery. Who drank the most samples from that brewery, right? Or check in from that brewery.
You did the harp music. Imagine a world in which, like, we actually got to the point where we could rate the quality of the check-in, because like they actually took pictures and talked about the beer and the experience. But
now people aren't doing that.
No, I know it's asking a lot. I'm asking a lot, but that's where we're at. Like, listen, this is a long way of saying everything I just said.
Hey, I hate lagers. 1 star.
Yeah. Hey, look, I mean, it's not bad. It's hurting cats, but because think about the ticket. Think about how many people don't even turn that over.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Because like you've had promotional stuff on it. You've had enter. Yeah. Like people can't even turn over their ticket slip to get information. When we announced
Real Wild and Woody was going to be to Flagstaff, like, I think you guys noticed.
Yeah, we noticed.
And nobody else.
I was like, how did we know that?
It was on the card. It was like on there, like, and it had a different logo, and
it was completely different. Yeah, it was awesome. But yeah, it's
people are like, what? Like, when did you guys announce this? Like, we literally announced it to thousands of people, and like you were among the only people who said anything about it.
Thanks.
But one consistent negative that is always a part of this festival, still no lightsabers allowed.
It's true. Yeah, man. So bummed.
Well, the technology is changing. We're reviewing that all the
time. Light sword's okay. Sabers not so much.
It's
a trademark.
Yeah, it's a trademark.
We might need to update that reference.
Disney might get a little upset with it. I did see some the other day.
Steamboat Willie though is on.
We're fine. Yeah.
You want to come in a Steamboat Willie costume, or I might just do a Steamboat Willie strong beer poster, just cause
that'd be cool. I'd be for that.
Yeah, because Disney's totally willing to let that go without a fight for.
Oh no, it's the public domain.
Yeah, it's public domain now.
A certain version of Mickey Mouse that probably changed in like 2 weeks after they put that cartoon out is like on public domain.
Well, yeah, that's why they integrated the Steamboat Willie into like their new like animated logo. Yeah, they were trying to protect it, and
I'm familiar, man. I'm going through like 6 or 8 we have trademarks with a mark of permanence, and we're going through all that stuff right now. And so I have to crack down on some things, unfortunately, because it's important to our organization. So Strong Beer Festival, Arizona Beer Week, we kind of let people use the logo, even though they don't register them on our site, which is basically just typing stuff in. Like, we're not charging anybody. Anyway, like, we have to sort of like
police that.
And it's like it's like we have like 7 or 8 trademarks now, and Part of it is we're bullish on it because we want our brewers to understand that they should do the same thing.
It's important. It's definitely important. One thing I saw was that that's new this year is the DD beverage area. Is that what they're calling it?
We're really focusing on non-alcohol.
Yeah.
And so, like, of all the things that we just talked about,
right,
there might be a non-alcoholic beverage trail, because what's different about that is the non-alcs know what they're bringing.
Yeah, right.
So we might have that, and we're trying to figure out, because here's the thing, we want to offer other things,
we'll have an alternative to just water
and
for DDs.
I don't know how far we're into this. If you're listening to this and you have no interest in beer, there are other things in beer. We have cider, we have mead.
Yep.
We have these non-alcoholic beverages. We have some spirits, especially through our breweries that also do spirits. So there will be some other things. And, I can't wade you through the gluten, non-gluten, because it's going to be mostly those products I talked about, because people have asked for that, and people have asked for, is there a non-smoking area? I'm like, it's technically outdoors, and I can't really tell people not to smoke outdoors.
Right. It's outdoors. It's fine. It's what it is.
Or if I could, I'm like, I'm not going to run these people down.
You're fine.
Whatever. Like, I get it. Like,
that's your advice.
I have a grass allergy. I'm like,
we're in a grass field. That's probably a problem.
Yeah.
No, I think it was a smart idea to have other options for options for DDs, which is great besides water, right? And like you said, other options for people that, hey man, maybe you need to not try drinking something that's a little NA and still have fun. But like, we've tried NA beers on the show, and we've tried hoppy waters on the show, and not a big fan of all of them, but there's definitely one or two maybe in there that wasn't that bad. It was good, and it's just nice to be able to try those things somewhere again at a festival,
right? So or you could just buy all of them and spend a lot of money on them.
Yeah, right. And that's what we did.
So we've always had NAs like from the get-go.
Yeah.
But there's more available. There's more products available, and there are bigger brands behind them. And I don't know. There was something out there. Andy Crouch, somebody I know, I agree with a lot, said like most of these are garbage. Most of the NA beers are garbage.
Yeah.
He's like a hop water. I'm like, I kind of see his point of view, but like, I mean, part of this is in a nice way to tell people like, hey, I want to have NA beverages, but here's what I don't like about this. That is part of their job too. Right. Is to accept that criticism and like, obviously be nice about it. Like this is garbage. And like, cause to me right now, there are some people who actually like this quality, but like some of them taste like unfinished beer. They're very warty.
They're very warty.
They just taste like wort.
I mean, that was our experience too with most of the NA beers too. We're just like, eh. But the hoppy waters, I would say that there was probably two of them that we tried that was like
two that actually tasted like they had hops. So the ones just tasted like fruit flavoring.
But like they're just pricey. That's the only way I was like, man, this is really pricey a price point. But listen, if people are trying to like cut down maybe on their drinking, I mean that's one way to go, right? I mean it's
the war cry in the craft beer industry for the longest time was, big spirits is coming for craft beer. Did you guys see non-alcoholic being that big of a, or is it even that big of a
local? It's even local and non-alcoholic is like seem like it's getting a lot bigger and a lot more players in that game.
Well, let me address the spirits thing.
Okay.
First, seltzers did take a dent out of people's stuff, and they also were distracting in the fact that a lot of people thought that they should make one and they should package one, and it didn't really compete. And then seltzer had its peak, and it's kind of in decline.
Well, now hard seltzer's swinging back around to seltzer water with the new White Claw nonsense.
So here's the long take on the history of craft beer. It was a response to the monoculture of light lager and things called pilsners that weren't really pilsners. And at the same time, restaurants were exploring the slow food concept. And if you went to a grocery store, you had 7 kinds of white bread and that's it. And maybe like rye. And like you go to bread aisle now, like, there's tons of different choices. And like, if you want to get to the, like everyone's like, oh, the brewers are throwing anything into a beer. Look at the chip aisle, potato chips. Do you know how many, just in, in the United States grocery store, you can have like 35 different flavors of potato chip. And if you want to get really weird, go on the internet and find some Asian flavored potato chips.
They're delicious.
Oh, yeah,
oh no,
I've had some
wasabi Kit Kats and
oh no, like like literally like squid flavor. You know, like, and they're very umami based. And like, I don't know, like it's not like they're making squid into chips, but like the funny ones are the Asian takes on American food, like Italian, you know, spaghetti flavor. Like,
yeah.
Like, it's like, I don't know what this is. Like, I'm
just chicken Parmesan chips. You're like, wait a minute, what?
Right. From you know,
Japan.
Yeah. So,
So weird.
anyway, like, our beer culture, craft beer is all these flavors, all the historic flavors. So like we didn't invent them. We just like re-explored them. So that's the flavor revolution. And it's also born out of the fact that a lot of people grew up with a straw in their mouth and a fruit juice. And, you know, like, so it is a thing. Spirits coming in is they can make the same types of flavors. So think about your most extreme slushy beers and all that stuff. They can make those like, oh, I don't know, like 100% less cost, 1% of the cost by having bulk alcohol and just using a co-pack and just adding flavor. So that's what we're up against. Like, so like that is, you know, an expression of flavor. It's low cost. It's available, you know, so like we have to decide, like, are we part of, there's no culture behind it.
No.
So these things are all flash in the pan, but they're persistent and they're always getting, you know, a celebrity advocate to say, this is my seltzer. This is my, you know, canned cocktail.
Right.
And so like, it will never end.
No.
So like it will run its course someday. But that's what we're facing in the package market. It doesn't really hit the on-site, you know, bar restaurant thing as much. However, we're moving away from draft beer. You know, like Bart Watson from the Brewers Association says, like, next year could be like the lowest amount of kegs available since World War II. And people won't make those choices when they build restaurants and bars, put in fewer draft systems. And, you know, like, again, like we lose when things are in packages and they're in restaurants because people will choose the inexpensive, widely available marketed thing over. So you have a choice of having like, you know, a cherry wheat, like that's not a thing anymore, but
Yeah.
or black cherry seltzer. And it could be, you'd be like, oh, seltzer played out, malt seltzers, but spirit seltzer with less body, like you put that down a lot faster than a malt based one.
Crush those.
And like, yeah, so that's where we're at. And like everything will change.
Yeah.
But it's a question of 1 year, 2 year, 5 year, 20 year, maybe 10. And, you know, 10 years is a long time if you're doing a lot of things from labor, you know, like if you're building a business.
It's hard to ride that storm out. Yeah, so I was looking, they said sales are down by 2% overall, right, according to the Brewers Association. The reasons that they gave was still lingering pandemic disruptions, possibly, right? There's still some disruption from the pandemic, which makes sense. I mean, everybody's still trying to recover from that.
Costs are still up.
Intense growth rate, right? You know, basically, there was just a really big boom. It wasn't sustainable anyways, right? So, you know, at some point, craft beer was doing this, and we just kind of leveled out, is what they're saying. Or a possible situation. So this is exactly why the reason is. But that was one. General inflation we currently have going on. Lifestyle trends being around healthier living. People are trying to think that they're going to drink a seltzer and it's healthier for them, but they're slamming 14 of them. So whatever. And then the other key takeaway is, like you said, drinking. We talked about drinking other alcohol earlier, and he said that one way to reverse it might be to actually have people focus on, and you touched on that earlier, the hospitality portion of it. That is going to be getting people to come in and have experiences at your tap rooms where you're going to get the most from it, right? They're going to get the most from it too,
right? So you know, like we used to, you know, like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, education was a thing.
Yeah,
but we're not educating our people anymore. We're not educating our breweries anymore. We're not our brewery customers anymore. That's our advantage. Our advantage is being being present, being in your face, and being part of the experience. Like again, we're going back to something we talked about before. If you invented alcohol today, like there wouldn't be all these crazy differences, because you can make alcohol out of a number of things. So like, why is it different if it's made from malt? Why is it different when it makes from, a fruit that isn't grape?
Right. Yeah.
And why is it different when it's distilled? There are alcohol choices, like levels. But it's mostly like, who developed these things and how big did they get and how protectionist did they want their laws?
Right.
And, we're on the bottom of that. Wrong. So, but we're fighting the fight. And that's why your ticket to strong beer makes so much more difference than anything you could possibly do. For that, sub $100 category, you could go do a lot of things for $100. I get it. But those dollars will translate to making Arizona a better place for the businesses I hope you love. I mean, you do $100 at a Seagram's event. I don't know what you're getting. Yeah. You're getting experience. Guess. I don't know where that money's going. I don't.
I mean, a sporting event, that's like 2 drinks nowadays.
Big experience. That's where it's going.
That's 2 cocktails at a football game.
Right. Yeah.
$100.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like you said, I think.
And by the way, I get where people who don't hear this, like, they make that value. I'm just, I'm not saying you're wrong, like, to say no. Like, use your dollars how you. But if you're hearing this argument and you value the things I'm talking about, then
it's the best way to do it. I would like to see, like, I mean, it's sad to me that we're not going to have that many kegs. Right? Everything's going to be, draft beer is lowering. I'd rather see more draft beers. I loved the days of going to places and they have small batch runoffs that they did that's only available at the brewery. Give me a reason to come into your brewery more often.
Yeah,
and get me excited about coming in.
It's more for bars and restaurants that. Listen, we definitely, we didn't, like, people definitely who opened restaurants, like, hey, I have this restaurant and they put on 30 handles. Yeah. Like, we all know those places, like, you don't need 30 handles. Yeah. You should do a better job with 12, and do everyone a favor and, focus on what you focus on. Like, if you're going to just bring in the flavor of the day and you need 30 handles, you're not making good choices. Like, yeah. I probably pissed off some people, but that's the truth of it. We talked on our show, we talked a little bit about the fact that, hey, just because somebody wants 4 of your facings, you're going to cannibalize your own sales, especially when it's somewhere unexpected. Like somebody who's a fan of your brewery, they're not going to buy all 4.
Right.
No, they're going to go with either the one they recognize.
Right. So you could do better by giving them fewer options.
Right. Space it out.
And you can always add more. And at the bigger level, here's the thing. At the bigger level, if I'm like the size of if I'm doing 100,000 barrels, so that means I'm in multiple states, and especially if I'm present and I have account reps. When I go in there and I'm at a grocery store and they give me 2 facings, I'll obviously work with it. But like if one of those starts to dip and I'm doing all this research on like, yeah, this is still doing a lot more than some of these other facings, but I'm going to pull my own brand and give them something else. And I'm always working on something that's on the upswing, because the danger is if you don't cannibalize your own, if you have 2, and imagine having some of these places have 4, and then they also have same brand with, a 6-pack, a 12-pack, a suitcase. They're always competing against us. They're always looking at those numbers like, you got to kill your darlings before anyone else does. Because if you lose it to somebody else, you'll never get it back. That's the difference. And like, as much as I love my Arizona breweries, very few of them have the time or experience to really be on that all the time. So like, I hate to say it, if like you see a local brand that just pops into a very big multi 100 location grocery store, like that's going to be hard to fill. It's going to be high bar. Like that is like all hands on deck all the time. And then I get, like I said, of those 2 or 3, pick the one that's going to die and figure out how to bring in the it's like the music. You can't play the same hit over and over and over.
Got to rotate it out.
Yeah. Well, and you notice it too, and it's kind of a double-edged sword because you see it on. I mean, a lot of people have referenced it to the billboard factor of facing beer. Like you see the giant blue wall and the silver wall and all that stuff, and the creativity of craft beer. You get to that craft beer section, and it's just like this rainbow of colors, and everything kind of blends together because it's artistic labels, artistic can work, and they're more about the individuality of it rather than presenting this facing beer.
It's branding, right? That's the thing is too, like when you have a consistent brand that's very recognizable, it's consistent across to all your offerings, makes it a little easier for somebody that comes in and goes, I see that beer that I know that brewery, I can try that one. But when it's just some graphic and your logo's in the back or your name's in the back, I don't know who that is.
Right.
I mean, listen, like Darkside usually does a great job, but like this one, I'm like, if I didn't turn this can around, you'd have no idea who that was.
Right. I can barely see it from here.
Right. I mean, so it's like, I love the graphic, but you need consistency across your brand constantly. And then that's some breweries. I mean, oddly enough, you look at this and you look at this. It's great graphics, but it's the same consistency across it. And it's just people that don't do it, don't know.
It's before I get off this point to the new one, I do want to say, because I think most people probably don't say, I don't buy my beer at a grocery store. That's fine. But if you do, like, your choices are super important. Like I just said, hey, if you could buy it at the brewery, that's great. But if you're a consistent grocery store buyer, then you should be on point on that for the brands you like, because it is so important. It's so competitive, and consider like if it's a niche brand that's in a large store that's valley wide or statewide, like sometimes they only have one slot, and like just take a look. Like if it's 6 ounce 12 ounce cans, a 6-pack. There's the 2 that you see, and there's maybe 2 more behind that, or maybe 4 more behind that. Like that, if it doesn't get pulled through, and the distributor isn't filling it, and some distributors are better at filling that gap, like that's all they're going to get. And it's so important. So like if you're like a regular buyer, you got to keep buying that, because like that's so important to them. Like, so you can say like, I don't buy this. Like, you don't have to guilt yourself. Like if you like buying a brand at the grocery store, keep buying it there. I mean, it's really important. But back to the branding, like I think the artwork thing is a cool thing. It reminds me, I'm going to age myself. It reminds me of the old buying the albums in the store, and like sometimes you'd hear and like, oh, what's that? And you'd buy it just based on the one song, but sometimes you were just like, I don't know who this is, but this album cover is fucking cool. I'm going to buy this.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a chance. And like, so we've gone through that period, where people were just buying it because of that. Or they knew the signals, like, oh, this is this. There's a couple of breweries in Arizona that are guilty of having a very consistent look, but not branding wise. Like you can tell some of the breweries, and I don't want to name them because like, you could tell that that's that brand, but like I gotta look through, and like you're trying to find the style, and you're trying to find like even the name sometimes is like
hard,
crazy, but like that is a total thing. But like it has to evolve, and I will throw one brewery under the bus, very large brewery. I don't think Larry Bell will care. Like the biggest brewery with the worst branding is Bell's Brewery.
Oh yeah,
because like you cannot, if you don't know that Too Hard is the same as Oberon, you're never going to know by looking at the package.
Nope.
Never.
It's different.
And they still have the 1989 logo that looks like I can't tell you how many people's like, are those Bells or are those Keystone Cops?
Yeah. It's really weird looking.
Chris is dying inside right now.
Yeah, well, it's a Michigan minute.
Yeah, you stole his Michigan minute.
Nah, it's fine.
No, it's a good brewery. It's a great, but no, branding wise, it plays. It didn't need branding. Like maybe now it does. I don't know. I don't know how they're doing.
No, I just think there's breweries that do it. It doesn't have to be super over the top. I think the breweries that have somebody doing their design work for them or paint, like that have the budget to do that, right? Or taking a slice of the budget and putting it towards their brand and doing that. It's very important. And there's a lot of breweries that are like, we don't think that's going to be a good cost for us, and they just do it in house, or they have somebody they know that does it for them.
Right.
And that's fine. That's what they can afford. But I think it's important. And listen, I went to go for graphic design, so this was like this is like pounded in my branding is your most valuable asset as a business. Your brand is worth more than anything in the world, right? And so having a consistent brand and having somebody come into that billboard effect and look at it and easily identify your brand across it. And like, I don't know this beer, but I know that brand.
Yeah.
And it draws me to it. It can still have a great logo on it, but if your brand's consistent and subtle and I can see it easily and identify it, it's going to make me get more often. It's going to make more.
And when you have that brand that's consistent, you can also do a brand that's not the same. I'm thinking of Firestone Walker, like 805 is like, does not say Firestone Walker.
Right.
And it's intentional. It's intentional because they want that to stand on its own. But I don't know. Maybe they fold it back in. Like these things change a lot.
Right.
Like, and it's very visceral because we're about to find out who might take over Anchor. And I was listening to Beer Business Daily or Brewbound, and they're like talking about the story. They're like, every time we put this story out, everyone blames the branding on the demise. And we all had strong opinions about the branding. Like the branding was the branding, but like that is not why the brand died. It was because it was killed. But like people he's like, we do any business story on Anchor, and like someone inevitably will talk about the branding. Like as if it was like, I mean, it's meaningful, but not for that story. It's, this goes back to what we're talking about. Like, is it the beer or is it the culture of beer? And I defer to the second. And like, I thought people ask me like, hey, why didn't you open a brewery? I'm like, because I'm either dumb or smart. This sounds like I'm more smart than dumb. But also I would not enjoy, I would obsess. I would enjoy somewhat, like I would be in my own little world. And I see this in my business owners. Like, and sometimes it's good, and sometimes like you got to get out of this. Like, I got somebody who literally owns a brewery, and they're next door to a place that sells beer, and like they've never gone over. Like it's so crazy, but I get it because I would be like that. So I think, and in some ways, so this is a better job to get out but I liked making beer. But if I examine it, it was more about sharing things that I liked with people, and also sharing things that I knew they would like that I don't necessarily like. So it is hospitality for me. As homebrewers, there are some people who just get into making the equipment,
right?
And they hardly ever use it. Like,
it's crazy to me.
There's
a lot of people.
There's people who just want to go through every style. There's people who only make one style, and like they'll, keep making it over and over and over. And like, they're like, hey, try this. And like, you have no idea what they're talking about. Like,
you're like, this tastes like the last one you gave me and the one before that.
Right.
And then they're like, no, it's different. I changed 2 temperatures. I guess.
Right. Like that one guy, Andrew, and his no boil brewing.
Yeah.
He's doing that now, by the way.
Yeah, that's what he told me. He's doing.
He's in the Bahamas.
He's doing no boil brew in the Bahamas.
Well, I mean, yeah. He's
in a hotel room.
I haven't seen any updates. No, he's in an Airbnb.
No,
so we talked about it. He's gonna make a 6-quart boil. I don't know. Like, so we'll see. Like, that was a lot of talk. That's a lot of talk. But like, I don't put it past him. Like, because I was challenging him. I'm like, why don't you just throw some yeast and some fruit juice that you get there and call it a day? He's like, no, I want to make beer. Like, he can do it. Like, I'm going to tell you right now, he can do. And it's not going to be a level of like, hey, everyone will love this. It's like he knows what he wants and he can make it, and it's no frills, and that's the spirit of homebrew that I never had that part of it.
Yeah,
I was like, nah, man, I'm going in. If I want to make a style, I'm going all in. I'm gonna but it's all. My point is, it's all of these things,
right?
But to me, if you're going to lose the battle of being in this business, I'd prefer that you do it as someone who wants to take care of people and be a host.
Yeah.
Like, because everyone's going to have their shortcomings on the business side, probably, and they're all going to learn. But like, if you're just in it, for other things, then, like, to me, it's about being the host.
Yeah.
And so like, that's, like if that's a bias I have, that's what I prefer. Is like that you're creating a place where people want to come, and if you can capture that magic in a bottle, then people will see that in the packaging and they will remember. And like, that's the hardest thing to do. That's really the hardest thing to do.
Right.
So of the places, of the things that you can buy in a grocery store, or you can buy without ever interacting with the brewery. If you've ever had an interaction with the brewery, like that's what has to translate. And if you can't, that's what our festivals are for too, Well,
I mean, everybody wants to be part of something, right? I think that's what a lot of that is too, is like, when you're creating an atmosphere that people want to be part of,
right?
I think a lot of people are really drawn to that, and then they get invested more into that because they buy into that culture and then the idea, and it becomes who they are too, and
sure.
It's great, and so it's good to be part of something like that.
I think that's a funny thing about downtown Mesa is all those owners, you see them somewhere else. Like Dave is always going across the street to BRI, or the Chupacabra guys are always up and down the street, and like that's a cool little experience. Like you run into those people on the street, or like you go to Worth and you see somebody, you go across the street, or people are going to Cider Core, and then like you kind of like leapfrog people. You're like, hey, I just saw you at 12 West, or I just saw you at BRI, and that's kind of cool to have that kind of interaction and integration.
That is the most unexpected part of my experience in this industry. That I know that their town people in their economic development, people in the downtown association to some degree, really wanting that, and they got it. And it's going to be a challenge to keep it, right? And especially since I'm sure everyone's like, oh, Gilbert is the place to be for all this stuff, but they've kind of priced themselves out a little bit. I'm not saying that that's not a cool place too.
Yeah,
but like Mesa is definitely an unexpected surprise, and like I've been monitoring, I've been following, and like it took a couple business owners to sort of say, we understand this now, and we're gonna rent to people who serve alcohol, because it was like I don't know the exact number, but it was a handful of property owners that were just like, no, we're preserving downtown and we're waiting for the right kind of customer, and like we are the right kind of customer. Nevertheless, it's going to be a struggle to keep it going, because like I've lived this with downtown Tempe, Mill Avenue,
right?
That was the place to be for different crowds, and it's nowhere near where I feel Mesa is, but Tempe in that area is losing breweries, and Mesa's getting it. At the same time, like you can't grow completely giant on that avenue. You have to come up with different solutions. And we have yet to see like Pedal House open up their space there. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I think I called it forever ago. I was like, as soon as I moved away from downtown Mesa, I was like, it's gonna be crazy down there. It's gonna be so much. It's gonna be amazing. And then now we are. And to me, it's one of the places that is still in the valley. That's a very architecturally unique area. It's a very place that you can go, and the buildings are different. The spaces are awesome, and you can't go into a strip mall and get that. You're not going to build. If you want to build that somewhere else out, it's going to cost you way more,
and it's not going to have the same.
It's not the same effect, right? Like it's great going to places and being like, those are the boards, or those are the. I mean, it's. I love that stuff, and those are the places that I like going back to. Not to mention, you got great food down there. You got good nightlife going on in there. You got It's just and the best part, we talk about all the time. Like you can't. Arizona's so spread out, like the valley's spread out, and for me to go down to get on the light rail, go downtown in Mesa and hit a bunch of different places and get back on the light rail, it's amazing, right? So,
have you been to the Arizona Distilling location?
No.
It's beautiful. It's all copper, and they do. I mean, they're going to move most of their stuff, I would assume, from Tempe to there because they have more room in the back.
That's so cool.
It's beautiful. But I just want to say, like, the story's not over. They had a great mayor that supported that, because they had a team that supported it, and it hit the hump. And Mayor Giles, who's not by any stretch of the imagination a drinker, he is, but he's a keen eye for business. So he was part of that movement. Like, they're gonna have to go through a leadership change. I'm not saying anything. They need to maintain that.
Yeah,
it's a different struggle. Because like I said, I've seen it in Tempe, and if I could, it took me forever to live where I live in Tempe.
Yeah.
Like like I wouldn't change it except for the fact like if Mesa's like the cool place, but like, it's
but like Tempe's, it's so close to the college. You're always going to have that kind of stigma of the college crowd's going to be there and you're going to get those. I mean, it just was going to be, right? I mean, that's why like I stopped going to the beer festival down in Tempe Town Lake Park because of that. It was the same kind of thing. It was like, it's just full of college kids just wanting to get schmammered.
Yeah.
And Mill Avenue seems the same way to me, right? I don't want to go to hang out. I'm too old to hang with college kids now. It's not going to happen, right?
Right.
But downtown Mesa seems way cooler. It's nicer, and it's not all hoity-toity as downtown Gilbert is. And so, there's only a few places like that, and we have. And I think Mesa had enough open locations that it was going to be accessible for a lot of businesses to go in there and be successful. Where other places like Gilbert and even downtown Chandler, you can't because they're gonna be priced out of it. They can't do those things, or they're gonna be spaced out too, right? I mean, like
sure,
the Perch. You go to the Perch and you're like, this place is great, except for there's no parking. I can't. There's nowhere to park around here. Like, what am I gonna do?
Yeah, you gotta walk.
Right, but like
you gotta park at the courthouse parking lot and go to the courthouse and walk all over.
Right, but
I hate that Chandler got rid of that crosswalk right there in front of the Sleepy Whale.
Yeah, which is silly. They're gonna walk all the way down.
So I moved from walking distance from that area, and Santan opened like 6 months later. So, but I get it. Like, there's a lot of, I mean, Chandler has, I think one of the best brewers that's new that no one talks about is in that movie theater there. Like, but nobody goes there.
Oh, is it Flick? Was it Flicks? What's the name of that place down there?
It's Look. It's
Look now.
Is it Look now?
It was like a Flicks or something like that. Because it was a regional chain, right?
Right. And then it changed.
Like, she makes good beer over there, like very good beer, but like you just have to intentionally go there. And like, and it's like, you're not going to get all the same. I mean, it looks like a snack bar with seats, but the beer is good and she's very good. And like, and
well, they won an award at the Craft Beer Awards, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, that place is also very cool. And it's gone through various changes too. Like Santan has persisted and, like that place is, every time I've gone, it's packed.
Yeah.
And, my point is those places are special and it's easy for them to not be special. It takes the neighborhood. It takes people paying attention. And one of the things that, if I'm going to riff off what I said before is like, why didn't I open a brewery or why do I care about this?
Yeah.
It's like, I loved making beer and then I love the culture, but like to preserve the culture, I have to be very cognizant of things like walkability and zoning and like crazy stuff like this. Like,
right.
I remember, couple breweries and in a couple places that would be cool for breweries. Like the deal fell through because they didn't have one parking spot extra for how it was zoned. And it's like, like we're not at the point in our organization to like get involved directly with that as a macro thing. But like, when we're asked, we try like hell to work on behalf. Like, there are breweries who weren't allowed to put in grain silos, and at the same time in the very city that says you can't have a grain silo, there's a grain silo that is effectively a sign. There's all kinds of these things. And like,
where's that?
Sometimes we're asked about it, and sometimes like they're said, hey, we want you to know about this. Like, we don't want you to do things. Like, we have to live here and like we don't want to bet any blah blah. Like, so I get it. So, our organization is a state organization, mostly focused on state laws, but we'll get involved in anything. And knock on wood, last 10 years, we've gotten everything I've ever been asked to run as a bill. Once it's a bill, we've won it. Might take 2 years, but usually 1 year. So great. But like, these local issues are really tough, really, really tough. And we just don't have the bandwidth. I wish we did.
Right.
But that's where the battle is sometimes, Yeah. And I can't always say, hey, like we need to fix this because it's dependent on the business. But like if you ever, because people ask me like, hey, what business is like, I know people are struggling and who needs our help? I'm like, you need to talk to them. Like I have a sense, but I would never tell you that.
Yeah.
I couldn't.
Right.
I couldn't. If someone shared something with me, unless they wanted to, like, you just need to have a conversation with these people. If it's a place you want to support, you have to have that conversation. Yeah. And it's not that hard, just, how can I support you? How can, what can we do? Like, and
it takes a village, right? Man, that's the whole idea. Right? It takes a village to do some of those things sometimes. And like to your point about downtown Mesa, I think that, it's to keep that ball rolling with the. I think if you see the community support happening still there, I think that whoever comes next is going to see that and they're going to continue that, or going to want to continue it, right? Because like we went down there for, it was like, every Halloween when they have Bob's Burgers takeover at the Worth Takeaway, right?
Yeah,
Jim Bob's Burgers. It's packed now. Like it was like you could go. I could show up the first year they did it and show up the day like the next day and it was like get in line, not a big deal. It was around the corner this year. Like it wasn't crazy, and so more people are seeing it, more people are doing it. I think it's becoming a thing, and as more people go downtown Mesa, they're going to the downtown Mesa has the Christmas festivals. They have like all the different holidays. They always have things going on down there. Yeah. The Halloween stuff down there is awesome. For all the storefront windows is really cool. So people are going down there. It's getting people to come down to downtown Mesa and be part of that whole thing. And so I hope that helps kind of keep that ball rolling. Because if not, if people stop going, then it's really easy for them to be like, see you later. Or if the wrong crowd keeps coming down there, right? Then that's also
that's been a challenge. Like I know there's festivals on there like that. A lot of our breweries down there like were like, hey, they need to change it because it's really affecting us negatively. And but I'll if we're talking about Mesa, I'll throw a fact out there, or I'll throw an opinion out there. There was a brewery that was down there that's no longer there, and there's another brewery in its place. But let me tell you, if that brewery didn't exist, then that whole area has a different struggle. Yeah. So we can all have opinions on like how we felt about that brewery, but it didn't go out of business immediately. It stuck around for a long time, and I can tell you factually that could have stuck it out a lot longer. But for the people who do policy, they said, hey, we've got this long-standing business. Why don't we have some more?
Yeah.
So like you can say, hey, didn't prefer that place. Some people did.
Yeah.
And now they're rewarded by having
most of them rode bikes and wore leather, but
other businesses were encouraged to be there to say, hey, we could do better or we could do differently. So like, again, when I said, hey, I had all these other opinions, I would have had that same opinion if I was in this job, but I get to see the bigger picture. I agree with most people when they say, hey, this is wrong. I'm like, I get it, but like, what kind of power do you think I have? Like, I'm here to make it better, or I'm here to celebrate what's not that. I can't get involved in the small details of why you don't like this beer or why you don't like this, like to me, hopefully I've made a difference in the last 10 years. And when I say I made a difference, like that means like enough people in our organization felt it was important too. Right. So I feel fortunate to be in the right place at the right time to help with that. And, it's going to be a time for, I hope, Andrew Bauman to do the same. We agree on a lot of things, but we disagree on some things.
It's good.
And, functionally, he has the same job as I do. It's between he and I on what we ultimately prevail on. But like, if he's like, hey, I want to do this, I'm like, okay, great. I'll support you, but that's your deal.
Run with it.
Yeah. And I'll support you. But like, if he has to make a spot decision, or if he says something, we back it up. Yeah. Because I feel like I've known him long enough, and he's gone through the same experience I have roughly, but he has the advantage of being in the brew house and I haven't. And I have the advantage of not being in the brew house. We really see eye to eye on things, and hopefully, and so far it's captured the attention of most of the breweries. Do I wish we were more effective in other parts of the state? Of course, but
Really, they're so big.
I would like to have 8 people hired by our, but like, it's just not, it's not there. You know, I think we're the 14th biggest state in the country, population wise, but we also are a smaller state in a good way about some other things. We're still very multicultural, geographical. There's stuff I wouldn't change about that, but you know, I feel like we hold our own as an organization, as unity, as a collection of businesses with states that have 200, 300, 400 breweries. And that's important to me. So I hope people see that, but it's easy to say no one cares about that. At a level where people just, you know, want to have a good time, have a pint of beer, they're not going to see that.
Yeah.
But if you do see that, that's why we have festivals, and that's why Andrew and I are here for questions and comments and podcasts and ugly emails and terrible Facebook comments, you know.
Well, if we ever do get to 300-400 breweries in this state, I think half of them are going to be Osos. So
a lot of them,
you know.
So speaking on that, does like the situation in New Jersey give you, I don't want to say more power, but do you use that as a reference point to be like, look, this is what's going on in other places?
These are my friends. It's like, it's cool to say we're so much better, but we're not that much better. We're like a couple terrible decisions by larger forces to being in that situation. We ran a big bill back in 2014 or 15. I don't remember. And it could have went a different way, and like we would be in that same boat. So I do like to say it only because I think people who are not aware of policy as it pertains to breweries need to understand how it could go that way. So it's unfortunate. Like even Texas, who I think has things going on now. Like for a long time, you couldn't buy a beer from a brewery. You know, and so. You know, we have, I think most of the consumer facing things are sort of invisible, but yeah, we got some big long-term problems that aren't going to be solved until one of our breweries gets screwed over.
Yeah.
And we, you know, like it's a double-edged sword. I think we have great relationships with the people who might screw us over, you know, and so far people are happy, but you know, like, I don't know. Like we have things that in the country here that don't favor small businesses who have come late to a distribution and retail model that doesn't favor us. I'm going to say we have great retail. I think we have great options. And if somebody wanted all the things that I'm not going to explicitly tell you because I want to have that great relationship, and I do approach those parties and say, hey, it would be a great year for you to fix this. Nobody's aggrieved right now, but like, let's fix it now. Like, let's have another 10 years apiece, you know?
Yeah. And it's really hard to change the status quo. And like you said earlier, some laws in this country are pre-prohibition and are been since the 30s and all sorts of different government regimes, and nobody's ever taken a look at them.
Right. So, you know, there are some things going on nationally. This particular administration has actually acknowledged in documents that said, hey, this is an unfair relationship with, you know, breweries and the distribution model. And you know, I think everyone assumes that like our biggest problem in terms of the people working their respective roles in this industry are the distributors. And it's not necessarily true. The retailers actually have a lot more power, the large retailers, very large retailers. So things like mergers, where, you know, they're saying, hey, well, we're going to do this merger. We're going to effectively in this state be like 60% of, the grocery stores in Arizona, but we'll fix it by selling those off. Like, I know how this goes. Like those are all straw men. Or even if not, like, they're not going to have the purchasing power. So like, and it, like it may be a more rational kind of merger in other parts of the country, but here it was very, very, very disparate. And we're such a small part of that. Like food deserts are a thing. Having no choices where you get your groceries is a thing. So, look, I mean, if you want to, I'm not going to say the name, but like we had a relationship with them for one of our festivals. And like I had to walk away. I had to sit out a contract for, 2 years because I wanted to be able to assess the situation. So, I'm not going to get necessarily credit unless I say like, I saw this coming and I sat it out. And like I cost our organization some money in the short term, but like I gave us freedom to have some other options in the future. Because it was a contract that I inherited. So like over 10 years of bad contract language, I'm not blaming anyone. It's just, that's what it was. What it is. So, it's stuff like that I deal with every day. I wish I could tell you everything. I really do. I really do. Nah. But like, like this is where we're at. Like I'm more transparent about some of these things than I used to be because we've gotten past some of these things. And everybody who I would say is a friend of our organization is still a friend of our organization, which is great.
Rob, before we let you, I mean, we can get down the rabbit hole like so much, but before we let you go, I want to give you a chance to talk about things that may be happening later, coming up maybe early this year, or 2024 that are going on besides Strong Beer Fest. Like what are other things coming to happen down the pipe that we can talk about and get people excited for?
Sure. So we will continue to have our wonderful Baja Beer Festival in Tucson in April. I think it's the first weekend of April. It continues to be the event that celebrates the 20 or so breweries in Tucson. And it's a victim of a little bit of its own success. I think if anyone comes to Strong Beer and says, hey, these breweries aren't coming from Tucson, and it's because we've created a stronger presence in Tucson. Yeah. And for the moment, they celebrate the togetherness and like it's actually a somewhat rational decision. Like most of those breweries don't distribute up here and, they already have a fan base. So they're comfortable celebrating who they are. Yeah. Someday they'll get in a mode like, hey, we really need to reach out. Travel expenses are real. Like, so when people say, hey, we get these people have real costs. Like if you eliminate the travel and the overnight stays, if you talk about the equipment they have to do and it's, you can amortize it and all that stuff. Like, we just kind of did a back of the napkin and, sort of understanding this. And I've checked with other states, like, like if somebody is pouring, enough beer for 2,000 people as part of a festival, not the entirety, but if they bring 2 half barrels or 4, slims, like you're looking just for them being there and all the equipment set up, labor. Most of the time it's not extra time. It's now we have to figure out how to get them off days.
Reschedule people.
You're looking at like minimum $1,000, $1,000 to $3,000 to be there.
Yeah.
So, if you include travel, and, Phoenix rates in February, it's a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
And, we try to give them more tickets or, like hotel deals are not a thing anymore.
No.
like consumers stopped asking because like, man, we'd set up a hotel deal in the day. It's like hotels.com. Someone saves $25, they will like throw us under the bus.
Right.
So like that's not a thing. So we have Baja in April. We have definitely we were super encouraged by the response locally in Flagstaff for Real Wild Woody. And I know there's a
Woodsy. Real Wild Woodsy. Right.
Just for that 1 year.
No, it's so good in Woodsy.
I gotta protect the trademark.
Oh, okay, that's true. All right,
I have to protect that.
Throw back to our earlier conversation.
No, I really, I mean, I wish, but I really have to protect that trademark.
Well, let's trademark both. Just do two.
I'm definitely, wow. That is another nut roll, but
okay.
I mean, we'll play with it a little bit, but like it is real wild and woody, and I have to establish that and have to put the marks back on it. But we're super enthused by that, and like you know, I don't know, like, have I ever said this? Like when people say, "Hey, this is my favorite fest, but I love this fest," I'm like, I'm going to do that all the time. We have to do this. We have to take. And we have to kill things, and we have to reinvent things. And you know, if you don't like this, if you like this, and you think it's too big, we have to. You know, we're just not going to be able to afford to do a summer festival. It used to be affordable,
right?
But hotel rates don't really change. Convention rates don't really change anymore. So, and we need to do something in Northern Arizona. Like, consider this. Like, you know, like, hey, you know, I've been doing this job for almost, you know, like half of the existence of the organization. Like, we've never had a festival of name persistently for like, and it was small and it was fun and we can grow it, or we can keep it the same. So like, oh, I hate big festivals. Like, maybe this is going to be the same. This is going to be the same for at least 3 or 4 more years easily. And I don't want to recreate what is up there already. There's no point of having something that is exactly what I don't want to, like, hey, this is our version of that. So that's going to be a thing in June.
Okay.
Because of that relationship with so that's the Historical Museum. North of that, where we use the parking lot, is the Coconino Center for the Arts. We might do something with them in September. Okay. But you know, like, they're like, oh, I can't do that. Like, it's for Flagstaff. It's like, it's for Northern Arizona. I'd love for you to come.
Yeah, if you can come up, come up. If not, there's enough people up there that can go to it and have a good time too.
Yeah, and like, it's back to the thing. Like, hey, some people say, hey, man, I haven't been in like 3 or 4 years. I'm like, great to see you now.
Yeah,
come back.
I mean, we talked about in the past, like we talked about with you for a while ago, and you know, your kind of vision was to have semi-regional thing. You know, like we talked about when Strong Beer Fest moved, and we're like, listen, maybe we could have something for the East Side people and something for the West Side people, and do something for Flagstaff and do some. It makes sense. We have breweries all over the state. We should celebrate that and then have some for those areas. So
we're gonna have our awards again. We're still in talks with Phoenix Magazine about when that's gonna be. Like, it may not be in the same place. I want to have something. People say, hey, why don't you do something on the West Side? Like, well, we did.
Yeah.
I don't think it was fair to judge it by 2 years, especially with one hot year, very hot year. So I hope to give it another shot, but like, they might want to move it a little bit. I want to have something to say that we have something on the West Side.
Yeah.
But that's not 100% my call. So that's going to be in October. We do have Wickenburg Oktoberfest. So people are like, what's that all about? Here's the thing. Oktoberfest, we try to do some Oktoberfest. It is a revenue center for our breweries.
Yeah.
They make special beers, special menu. Why would I put something that competes with that? If I'm an advocate for these breweries.
Right.
They have said, and consumers said, we support these small things. So, you know, you get dozens of breweries in Metro Phoenix. Not even talking about Flagstaff and Tucson. Just like there was one year after we had sort of like released ourselves from Oktoberfest. I think I went to like 14 in one day. Oktoberfest in Phoenix.
Yeah. Wow. Why?
Why? Because
no. I mean, why is there that many Oktoberfests all over the place?
Well, because they're very hyper local.
Yeah.
So like, why wouldn't Saddle Mountain have one? Why wouldn't North Mountain have one? Why wouldn't I don't want to just stick to mountains?
Yeah.
But why not? And you know, because it's you know, if I'm telling breweries they need to do something special to bring people to the place, like that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
So we took it out of market somewhat. It's in Phoenix, and the key here, and anyone who's like, oh, they should have it, like the town of Wickenburg.
Yeah.
Works with us, and like they have other reasons for wanting that. So yeah, you know, every year we have to justify it. It's like, it is tough because people give a shit about it, but like, I mean, that town shows up.
Good. Yeah.
And like, it's tough to, that being said, like, it's just two of us. It's a lot of weekends.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of open weekends. So we won't go into, like, the reason it works in Wickenburg is like, we're not going to go in there and displace someone else's stuff.
Yeah.
Like, we have to consider that too. So, other festivals don't give a shit about that, especially if they've been there. And like, so like the obvious, thing is like, in Flagstaff is like, hey, you're doing the same month. Like, here's the thing. They've always done multiple festivals in the month. And I know the people who do the other festival. Like I don't want to compete against it, but I think we're offering a different product.
Right.
So we have to be cognizant of that, because, the last thing I want to hear about is like, you destroyed a festival in our town and like, we supported all your breweries.
Yeah.
Like that, what they're saying is, they're upset, but like, they're not really supporting our breweries. They're supporting that festival.
Right. That's it's a different situation.
So we have to ensure that our breweries are happy. We have to ensure the places that we do these are happy. So it's not just like we can just do whatever we want. And by the way, like, there's a lot of festivals that people think we're a beneficiary of, but only the ones on our logo. That's it.
100%,
and like, it's not a lot of them, and we're going to try to bring our conference back. I don't know if you were.
I went to it. I went to the one year. I went to BrewCon. It was good times.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. We talked about it. Like, I come from IT background, and it's, you go to an IT conference, and this is what it felt like. It felt like an IT conference, but for like beer nerds.
Yeah.
Like, this is awesome.
But that's one of the most expensive things we can do.
Yeah.
There's some years where I feel like we have that time to focus on the experience. And I know it pays dividends, but the corollary of that is, like, if people buy their tickets early, I know what to expect. I also know what to expect when they don't, but we're just looking at the weather.
Yeah.
and like, so to me, if it's a slow rain on that day, that's a bad thing. But if I have the commitment of people to be there, we'll figure it out. And I don't know, man. I've got a raincoat. I've got an umbrella. I have boots. Like, I'll be there. Like, that's not a hard thing. Like, it's so weird. Like, all these rugged individuals who go, like, who live here, like, that buy shit at Bass Pro Shop. Like, where the fuck are you, man? Like, this is where we need you, man.
Right.
Like, this is where we need that kind of mentality. Like, well, it's kind of rainy. Like, I thought we were Arizona. Like, we're getting stung by scorpions and snakes and, like, I don't know.
I got a couple of Columbia jackets. Listen, I'm coming. I don't care.
We might have a tent that you can come hang out if it's raining.
Yeah. There you go.
Well, I mean, on the hot side, people show up and like, man, when it's hot, like, I just got to tell people every time, like, hey, man, drink some water, eat some food. Like, nobody wants to eat food when it's hot. But like, that is like the difference between a good time and a bad time.
So
have a sandwich.
Our game plan's always get in, go talk to some people, have a few beers. Right before GA gets in, go get some food.
Yeah.
Go get food.
Well, and
then it's great.
That's if you're a VIP. It's like,
right. It's 100%.
It's like, recognize when people are coming in. Like, as soon as people come in, eat food.
Yeah.
Enjoy all the things that none of the people coming in are going to enjoy.
Right.
Like, shop.
Yeah.
Whatever. And then, enjoy the extra hour and a half and get out early.
Yeah.
Although in all the years we've gotten VIP tickets, we've never once stepped foot in the VIP area.
That's true. We never go in there. Well, we're always
doing stuff, and then
we're always talking to people. We're always running around talking to people, and that's not always.
I don't even know if we're gonna. I mean, we're gonna have that. We had a Brewers Lounge, and we kind of 86'd it because like we didn't know any people. Like, people wanted, like, hey, I want it private. Hey, I want to get beers. Hey, I want to talk to people that are VIPs, and like, and it's never a consistent message. So like I don't know. That this is the thing, like, hey, send your survey and like we'll get like 3 people's opinion. Like, it's not really fair.
Yeah, but I think since this is like the big metropolitan event, I think a VIP like kind of area like that would be something for like Real Wild and Woody or the Baja and Tucson, where it's a smaller community. Maybe not as many people are going to go to that. You can set up more kind of intimate, specific kind of smaller things going on. But this is This one's huge. It's right in the middle of this major freeway intersection. Everybody can get to it.
Yeah.
It's busy. I mean, there's never an issue of enough beer or enough people there. So it's like that kind of sells itself. It's like you said, what's the benefit in this case?
I can't give you more beer. I legally can't.
Yep.
I cannot. Like, you know, we don't have those kind of laws, you know, and I don't know. Like, that's not what it's about for me. I mean, if that's what it's about for you, I was there for many years. I also don't remember a lot of those years before I was in this. Yeah. It's
Chris used to be an ABV bro.
Yeah.
What's your highest ABV?
No, never. No.
Yeah. No, I mean, I tell people
I knew what they were. I didn't have to ask.
It's like we invite everybody from the town of Sedona to have a beer in Phoenix. And it's like, how do you do that? What do you so like we could just give them all one beer.
Yeah.
We can give them a bunch of beers. We give them a lot of choices. I can't manage, like if you want to drink every high ABV beer, like,
you're not going to walk out of there. I'll tell you that.
It's not, it's not what the industry's doing anymore. That was the thing 20 years ago because we just threw malt and everything. Now we're doing so many great flavors and like it's not bad at all. It shouldn't be about that. But, like if like I'll sell you a $300 ticket and I'll just take you to some bar there and give you a bunch of shots and you can have one beer and I'll put you in a cab.
Yeah.
Like that's if that's the experience you want, like you're missing out on so much.
Right.
Cause to me, it should be about flavor and like definitely brewers got better about expressing flavor without necessarily just going over the top of the alcohol. I hope that's,
well, I think at a certain point it was a boundary to be broken for a lot of people. It was something that they could shoot for and aim for and be like, this is why I brew, this is why I brew. And then after a certain while, you're like, everybody's doing it. Who cares? What's the next boundary we can break? What's this next? And so it's been changing ever since then. And I think that was, but you still have the people that's their mindset of, I just want to get drunk.
There's those people there, but I think it also speaks to the quality. Like there's so much good stuff out there. People aren't looking.
Dude, we've been here talking for a long time. And I'm fine with it, but like I got an Andrew like, you were there for 3 hours.
Right, that's how it works.
See,
man.
now you know how his wife feels.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But no, we can wrap up because we'll talk. Hopefully, we'll get to talk to Rob soon after Beerfest.
No, you're gonna talk. I'm gonna. Well, I'll call you Friday and like there might be something you want to sit down for. I don't know.
Sweet.
I don't know. Like, cause like we got some stuff going on in the legislature. We'll see.
We'll get it. Yeah. We'll get closer to it and we'll figure out for that. If people want to find out more about Strong Beer Fest, Choose AZ Brews is the best place to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Perfect.
You can, we own all these damn URLs.
That's how it works.
Strong Beer Fest, like if you Google anything,
there's no Strong Beer Fest or Choose AZ Brews.
There, but like we have I think we have like 35 URLs. Yeah. I seriously think that because do you guys remember like, oh, you got to get the org, you got to get the
.net, .com.
We stopped at .beer. Like,
yeah.
I think it's
we have .beer.
Yeah, Hoppy Craftsman .beer.
Yeah.
That makes sense, but like it doesn't make sense for us to get all those for .beer. Like, we're beer.beer, like that doesn't make sense.
Ooh, is .non-alcoholic a thing? Should we get that?
Yeah. Strong Beer Fest.
Seltzer water.
If you Strong Beer Fest, Baja Beer Fest, Real Wild Woody, no and.
Yeah.
You'll get there.
Salt River Fields links you to it.
Oh yeah, Salt River Fields, good information there too as well. All right, perfect.
Like people, if you want to drive up and down the 101 to look at the sign, it'll be up there.
It is there for sure.
Yeah, so you're looking at Saturday, February 17th from 11:30 for VIP. 1 o'clock is general admission till 5 o'clock. Last call is probably 4:45, then 4:30.
It's
around there.
It's 4:40. It's 4:30, but we get a male crowd. I'll keep it going until 15. Like, but definitely we need to get out of there. Like, and here's the thing. Like, it's cool. Like, hey, you want to hang out? Just keep walking towards the exit because I get so many bro hugs at 4:30. and it's cool. I'll do it, but like, just keep walking in one direction. You can have another drink, and you can just keep walking.
As long as you're trying to make your way towards that exit, you're okay. It's gonna mosey on that way,
and then take it from us. It's definitely worth the VIP just for the previous day to pick up your pass and get a free baseball game.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so much better.
A little bit of a preview
experience.
Yeah,
love it.
100%.
Well, Rob, thanks for coming in. Appreciate you hanging out with us and talking.
Anytime, man. I think if I keep coming for 3 hours or whatever it is,
we're gonna
eventually we'll be at 20 minutes, 10 minutes. Hey, man, you got a QR code for me?
Yeah.
You want to
scan this real quick?
Imagine if we had Rob and Andrew here.
Oh my goodness!
Oh yeah.
So many ways to be mad at us.
But if you want that, is a good segue. If you want just Rob and Andrew, they have their own podcast that they do.
Yeah,
the Arizona Beer Frontier.
Yeah.
Where can people find that, Rob?
I don't know. We don't really promote it very hard. It's AZ Beer Frontier, and it sometimes is. It's more about the job than what we're doing here, and so it's but it's also about the traveling of Arizona. So because we have to be at different places for different reasons that are super mundane sometimes,
right? But
like we just talk about where we've been and where we're going, and it's more of a lifestyle of the job, which is a very unique. Like Andrew and I are two people out of maybe 100, 150 that do this job, and it's very esoteric and it's different for every state. Like we talked about in Jersey, they have a different experience. We talk about Texas, they have a different experience, they have a different way of solving it. This is all because we have different state laws.
Yeah.
So I can only tell you that if you love this show, you might be disappointed in ours. It's just because like I don't know, like, but the reason I did it, and Andrew and I did it, is because like I've been doing this for 10 years. Like I know a lot of things. They're not secrets, but like if we don't talk about them, they're just kind of gone.
Yeah.
And like
I think if Andrew doesn't talk about it, his head might literally explode.
It's just it's just trapping of the job. But like, and it's not all about craft beer. It's just more about exploring the state too, and working with everybody that we work with. And I wish we could be more transparent about things, but like policy is tough. Like it's like we have to decide on what our message is and we have to go with it. And like it's very weird.
Yeah.
So
it's
I think
completely fluid. So you don't want to say something that
we're
100% wrong.
Well, we're gonna get burned. Some. I mean, like someday when I'm in the legislature, someone's like, "Hey, didn't you say this?" I'm like, "I don't know." Like, maybe. But we're trying to run that balance, like, of being real about what we do. Like, there probably isn't another podcast about working policy as a state like we do. And I'm not saying that that's cool, like, because it's could be kind of boring. You just have to understand, that this is a different life. Like we don't even relate to our breweries on some of these issues because they're so, very specific to what we do. But I'm a big fan of this podcast.
If people listen to this show, there's people that are going to listen to that show.
Yeah, for sure.
No, I mean, like I would never do what you guys do, but I love listening to your show. Because like I'm like, okay, and like I don't agree with a lot of it,
which is fine. That's 100% okay.
Like I haven't done it in a while, but like I'll text people like,
oh yeah,
what are you doing, man?
Yeah, but biggest mistake I ever did was give Rob my number. That's really weird. It's so weird. You text me now.
Yeah,
but no, we appreciate that you came to the studio. It gives us some legitimacy.
No, you don't need my legitimacy.
We feel special now.
No.
We're gonna have you sign the Arizona Guild tin tacker on the wall.
So like only 7 people will know because you guys got to do video in here too.
We got it. We got a camera on here.
Yeah. We're working on it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not happening now.
No,
we got a camera on top of here.
I look so beautiful.
I know you dress up nicely. You're in uniform.
We got to get a makeup artist for Chris before we put.
It's true. I actually I got studio lights. We got some cameras.
Got studio lights in the closet. We just got to get to work on our video production.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get that.
No, I mean, so we did the one co-pod podcast, but I think we should. I think we should do another collaboration, but we should come up with a theme, and we should have each show different, and we should have the full team, and we should keep it tight, smaller. I mean, look, man.
Hey, that's been our goal this year.
This is our goal this year is to keep it tight.
This is the first one we've lost the grip on.
No, it's not true. You've lost the grip many times. Oh, this year?
This year. It was like the second
yeah.
show this year. But anyway, so thanks again for coming. Chris, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
You're obligated.
Always. I've been in way too many of these.
And we'll see you next time. All right. Thanks again, Rob.
Cheers.
Drink local, guys.
If you'd like to become a part of the Hoppy Craftsman beer community, here's where you can connect with us. Our website is hoppycraftsman.beer. You can find us on Instagram and Threads at Hoppy Craftsman. Our YouTube channel, Hoppy Craftsman. If you want to go above and beyond to support the show, you can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/hoppycraftsman. And we do have some supporters who are generous enough to donate to this show. And those people are Terrence Hollows, Jeff Johnson, Zach Dominguez, and Cena Gomez. If you want to support the show, we have multiple tiers. Just go to Patreon, like I said, patreon.com/hoppycraftsman and join one of our tiers.